Hello, this is Portugal, Lisbon area quick trip adventures guide. I loved visiting the vibrant, welcoming, hilly city of Lisbon and their amazing seafood. Lisbon is one of the oldest cities in the world and is known as the City of Seven Hills because of the 7 hills that surround the center of the city. In Lisbon, many of the buildings are covered with colorful tiles known as azulejos, and even many of the sidewalks are also intricately tiled masterpieces. So when you're walking down the sidewalk in Lisbon, it's all tiled, little tiny tiles, white and like a grayish black tile, just really beautifully laid. And there's also another area of the city called the Maria National Theater. When you're walking in that area, it looks like you're walking on waves because of how the tile is laid. It's super cool. It's also good to know that Lisbon is a very affordable city for the budget traveler. Lodging, transportation, food, and drink are all really reasonably priced, well below that of other metropolitan cities in Europe. Where to stay in Lisbon? For the budget traveler who likes to stay in neighborhoods that are not full of tourists, then there are an abundant number of reasonably priced apartments for short stays. I always use VRBO. Also, hotels.com will give you apartments in Europe most times. So I'd rather stay with the Portuguese or the local people than with other temporary visitors. And I like to walk and take public transportation to the sites. So if you're like me, there are many districts of Lisbon and all have easy access to public transportation, including really easy to navigate subways and quick to arrive, very inexpensive Ubers. Plus, most major sites are walkable all throughout the city. I stayed in the Arroios district, that's ARROIOS district, which was an easy 20-minute walk to the iconic Alfama area, which I'll get to in a moment. Exploring the Alfama district in Lisbon. The Alfama district is most likely what most people envision when thinking of Portugal. The Alfama district has the colorful and tiled buildings, mazes of narrow cobblestone streets, hills with trolleys, all overlooking the beautiful Tagus River. Alfama is a perfect area to start your Lisbon adventure, as it is fun and easy to get lost in while meandering through the iconic historical buildings, cathedrals, and São Jorge Castle while catching a ride on the cable cars. Sit in one of the many outdoor cafes and enjoy a typical Portuguese espresso, port wine, or ginja, which is a Portuguese liqueur made by infusing ginja berries in alcohol. Portugal delicacies. Portugal is known for its fresh seafood due to its abundant coastline. Per capita, Portugal has the highest fish consumption in all of Europe. There are actually stores that sell only canned sardines. You'll see that at the airport and also in Alfama, at least. Must-tries are salted cod, sardines, which are fresh, which are on the menu in many places, barnacles, which are actually good. They're like a little bit sweet. They were interesting and good. Another fish that's popular there is the bacalhau. It's Bacalhau, and that was really good. And there's lots more, but the most famous pastry in Lisbon is the pastel de nata. It's a custard, and it is everywhere. You won't have any trouble finding it. If you're an adventurous person and you'd like to see most of the Lisbon sites and viewpoints in one day, then the 7 Hills of Lisbon e-bike tour fits the bill. Our electric bike tour guide grew up in the city and knew every inch of it, as he demonstrated with a passion. We learned the fascinating history and culture of Lisbon while moving through it and feeling the vibes. I would highly recommend it. A day trip from Lisbon, a perfect one is to head to Sintra and Cascais. A good thing to know about the Portuguese language is a lot of the S's are pronounced as SH. So this perfect trip would leave from Lisbon and you would go to the Rossio station. That's Rossio, which is in the center of the city, and go to Lisbon, which is 18 miles away. It's 40 minutes by train. The train is only a couple of euros. And once you get there and see the town of Sintra, which I'll talk about in a moment, then it's best to take an Uber from Sintra to Cascais, because if you took the train, you'd have to go all the way back to Lisbon and then over. So it's just a 10-mile Uber. And like I said earlier, Ubers are super cheap, and there were a lot of them in Sintra. And then at the end of the day, it's 18 miles from Cascais back to Lisbon, and that's about a 59-minute train service and also just a couple of euros. So, like I was saying, the trip is best done by train as parking in both locations is very scarce and the mass transportation is extremely inexpensive, and those trains run very frequently, several departures each hour. Sintra. Sintra is a lovely resort town nestled in the mountains where royal castles and palaces, historic estates, villas, and gardens are plentiful. The small but charming historic center of Sintra sits at the foot of the mountain and includes picturesque buildings with the signature pastel colors and terracotta roofs of Portugal. It is worth spending some time here before or after visits to the castles. The castles are located in the Sintra Mountains, which is up a narrow tree and stone wall-lined road called Estrada da Pinha. I hired a tuk-tuk, Tuks of Anarchy. They were right by the train station when I got off, for a nice personal open air, think eucalyptus tree scents tour. So in a tuk-tuk, usually 3 people fit in the back snugly. The tuk-tuk stopped at any place we wanted to. It stopped at all the tiny picturesque sites, and it was easy to hop right on and hop right off and see all the overlooks and palaces. If you are a hiker and you opt to walk up to the castles, do not walk up the main road, that Estrada da Pinha, as it's very narrow and dangerous for pedestrians. An easier route would be the Camino de Santa Maria footpath up to the Moorish castle and the park and palace of Pina. If you opt to take the bus, it's bus number 434. It's a hop-on, hop-off bus. You also take it from the train station up to the castles, and it's also best to purchase your tickets for the castle entrances ahead of time. The main 3 sites in Sintra, while you're up on that mountain, are the Palacio da Penha, the Castelo de Moros, and the Quinta de Regilira, or Palacio Nacional de Sintra. So now you're finished with Sintra and you're going to head over to Cascais, which is just about 22 minutes in an Uber. Cascais is a charming beach town and it's a popular tourist destination for Portuguese or foreign tourists. However, it's more than just restaurants and shops, as it sits right along the coastline, encompassing both beaches and cliffs along the Atlantic Ocean. Cascais has 10 miles of coastline with a variety of beaches for every type of beachgoer, from secluded to urban. And it's known for its seafood. It has a walkable city center with a great variety of restaurants, all with outdoor seating and famous Portuguese delicacies. The weather is perfect throughout most of the year. In the summer, it's an average of 77 degrees Fahrenheit, and in the winter, about 57 degrees Fahrenheit. Thanks for joining me today. I have all of this written out for you at quicktripadventures.com. just go to the Destinations tab under Europe and you'll find Lisbon area, Portugal. If you'd like to discover other places that you're thinking about traveling, I love to plan traveling. So on my website, quicktripadventures.com, I share 3 to 5 day budget conscious itineraries from my firsthand experiences. So a lot of them encompass city, urban areas, as well as adventures like hiking or skiing. So I hope you enjoy all that. Thank you.